Okay, Death Race, a silly, fun, gritty action movie about cars with guns. It's one of my top 5 movies until this day as some of the most insightful, thought-provoking quotes to ever grace the big screen.
Okay, cocksucker. Fuck with me, and we'll see who shits on the sidewalk.
But it still puzzles me how this never became a video game. It has all the hallmarks of a great video game. It has the 3 C's: guns, cars, and sex appeal.
Eat my land, boy! Eat my land!
Hillbilly.
Well, I thought I would set out to change this. So first off, I need a good car physics system. So to speed things up, I decided to write my own physics system from scratch. And what I mean by that is I purchased one from the Epic Store for $300. So that is what you're seeing here, the basics of the car physics. But I don't like the look of this block, so I'll add a Cindy car as a template instead because Cindy is best girl. Alright, so car's looking good. But there are no wheels, so we'll sort that one out. Bit of adjustment on the wheels to get them in the right position. Quite annoying to get the right position, but once we've got it, we are all good to go. Also, not 100% sure on this gold pimp my ride type rims, but again, this is kind of just a quick template just so it looks a bit nicer than that stupid little block. Cool, so now we'll work on the checkpoints. We will create a checkpoint blueprint that will be the basically where the car is going to pass through, and then we'll create an interface. I started off by thinking I was going to use a collision box as the checkpoint, but then I realized I kind of obviously want some kind of visual indicator so people can actually see where the checkpoint is. So I instead opted for just using a basic cube and then just changing the material so it is transparent, so that way you've got a visual as well as, you know, you can still use collision on the actual cube itself. And here it is. Ooh, that is crisp. Look at that. Just drive straight through it. That's a checkpoint right there. Obviously, we need a bit of logic there so we can actually use it. Otherwise, it is just a colourful wall you can drive through. So let's get into the logic. Perfect. So we go into our checkpoint. We get a on begin overlap event on our actual cube. And that's going to be basically our collision box. We check to see if it has the tag player. I have tagged the BP Arcade, which is the car, with the tag player, and here we are, we're just doing a little troubleshooting just to make sure that it functions correctly. And boom, you fucking beaut, we get the trigger we are looking for. It's always good to debug as soon as you've done something. I tend to do it quite a lot, just because a lot of times I can find bugs when, even when I do real simple things, so I always like to check every single stage that I do, making sure my code works exactly how I like it, even for the most basic fucking things, like an interface. And so next I'm just creating a player struct, because obviously when I have checkpoints and I want to basically track the checkpoints that the player's gone through, which checkpoint he needs to do next, and all that kind of jazz. So I put name, because I standardly, whenever I do a player struct, I always put the name for a player name, just out of habit, and then we start adding all the positions and kind of checkpoints we need to hit, and all that good data. Cool, so we've created that new struct for the player, so each player has their own basically stats get tracked, so we're going to add that struct to the player, so we can always reference to the player in regards to their own personal struct. So now what we want to do is give it... So basically we want to give each checkpoint its own integer or its own number, so we can kind of track which checkpoints the player can use and which they cannot use. They're not using checkpoints, they can trigger, holy fridge. So now we need to figure out which checkpoint that the player can actually use. So we've already created the player struct, so now in our interface we're going to start creating some functions. this one is to get the basically the checkpoint that the player that passes through the checkpoint is looking for, and if they're looking for the correct one, then we trigger an event. Alright, so this is the beautiful interface function that we've created. We get the player struct from the actual player, and then we're sending this information back to the checkpoint. There you go, see? And we send it back. Then we compare the checkpoint that the player is looking for with the actual checkpoint number. Then if they match, and voila, we trigger something. And what we trigger is an increment on the player, basically telling it to basically look for the next checkpoint. So we just create a simple event to trigger this. So if you look at this example, that's number 3. We don't trigger anything. Oh, wait, no. No, I've done something wrong. What haven't I done? Oh, I don't have a print string telling me. Okay. Okay, now watch this one. Jesus. So that's number 3, nothing prints. 2, nothing prints. Ooh, number 1, because that's the one we're looking for. So now it's incremented. Now we're looking for 2, now we're looking for 3. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that, that is functioning perfect. And then we just go through just to make sure that we're not re-triggering them anyway. Nope, we cannot re-trigger them any further. That works perfectly, exactly how we want it. So what's next is setting the initial value of how many checkpoints there are. Basically, I'm wanting to know how many checkpoints I have left. So you'll have 1/3. So you've got 1 checkpoint and you've got 3 in total. So how would I do that? I'm going to make it so the very first checkpoint, the one with the 1 value, or the number 1 checkpoint is going to basically trigger something. So I just do on the begin play, quick check to see if the checkpoint number equals 1. If it does, I'm going to basically get all the checkpoints in the level. Then we're going to get the length of that, which is how many there actually are, and then we're going to send that back to the player as the initial value of how many checkpoints there are. So we can track that, which is real nice. So now the player knows how many checkpoints are total in the map. And I'll just chuck a quick little text box above each checkpoint just to basically tell me which or what the value of that checkpoint is, so I can basically visually see if it's checkpoint 1, 2, 3 or 4. I'll probably figure out some other method to tell the player this, but right now this is kind of a good I guess debug or default. And so now I'm looking for basically the weapon system that I guess Death Race has, where the car drives over it and it picks up a weapon. So this was kind of a nice little thing that I purchased. I think it was maybe like 15 bucks or something, I'm not too sure, but I'll add that to the project and try and work something out with those. But first, before I go any further, I think I'm kind of at the point where I need a HUD. So I'm going to do a quick mock-up of a HUD. It's going to be almost like a debug. It's just going to give me the vital information. I can spice it up a bit later, but right now I just need that information on screen. Alright, so just whipped up a bit of logic for the triggering of the weapon system. Gave basically the option of what kind of weapon type you want it to have. Based on that, it's going to send that information to the player and basically give that weapon to the player. Alrighty, and then I finally set up a system, so depending on which weapon the actual, I guess, plate has, it provides a little icon, a 3D icon of what you're picking up, so that's pretty nice. It looks cool. The icon is spinning, and I think we're at a good point to, I guess, finish up this chapter of the video, but thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have any feedback or anything like that, please let me know. This is the first time ever making a devlog, so it's probably going to come out like arse. If it is arse, tell me it's arse. And and then I'll probably never make a video again and probably give up on game dev. No, I won't. But yeah, if you guys have any constructive feedback, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, hopefully I'll come out with the next step. I'm not too sure on what the next step is going to be, because ideally I want this to be multiplayer, but yeah, and multiplayer is going to be a bit weird because I'm literally going to have pretty similar to what Death Race has. It has a driver and a navigator, so there's going to be a navigator. There's actually going to be someone in the car that isn't actually driving. So I've got a few cool mechanics to add to that person, obviously, because you know, one person's kind of having all the fun driving. I'm going to have the navigator have a bit more utility. That is going to, I think, probably make navigator a much more fun than the actual driver, or at least put them at equal. So it could be going into multiplayer. I haven't delved too much into multiplayer. I know like surface level, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'll end it here. But yeah, again, thanks guys for watching, and see you next time.